Ultimately, I'm trying to take a positive mindset. The need for construction and real estate will continue. There will be opportunities for companies old and new in the market to adjust to these new realities. I don't believe it will return to the way it was for a long time. So new avenues and methods will need to be implemented in the industry. But from an operational, practical point of view, I see two main issues. One is logistics. Access to materials, if they're not within the same emirate or the same country, is an issue, as is the manpower crossing the borders during the lockdowns. Delays in supplies, delays in manpower, delays in subcontractors is causing delays in the service providers being able to do what they're contractually obliged to do, which is having a knock-on effect to the, secondly, as always, cash flow. It almost feels like the world has stopped spinning for now and everyone is holding in a holding pattern. The supply chain needs cash to flow. It cannot be held onto by corporations. They need to realise that they have an obligation to the market, to the community and to the country to keep the supply chain flowing. I believe that everyone, contractors, service projects, clients, need to take a breath and to reflect before going into cost slashing mode. There's no thought process in how that is actually going to affect you when people actually go back to work. People will have long memories on how companies and people have conducted themselves during these times. I don't actually think anyone was overly prepared. Sure, we all had business contingency plans, well I hope we did, but it was a completely unprecedented incident in Dubai where obviously I live. The government and associated government bodies acted pretty quickly and efficiently. They've been able to have the majority of the community stick to the rules and the permit systems, and that's a credit to the government and community. The industry's done what it's always done. It adapts to the situation that it's in. There'll be companies that will fail to do so they'll fail, and then there'll be the ones that can, and they do, and hopefully they'll survive and thrive. However, what we need to look at is outline the issues faced in the current mode of operation. We've got labour camps, labour accommodation, we've got shared accommodation. Perhaps there's also a lack of education and knowledge from the QHSE, shared facilities for cooking, living, laundry, etc. All of that's a huge challenge to this industry. It's always been a struggle and always been the challenge of working here. I mean, I know some companies that can't get subcontractors over the borders from their labour camps to conduct work. Cases of companies who did all the right things for their labour accommodation. They get extra PPE, they get extra sanitation done. They're part of a larger labour camp where there's other companies that maybe haven't done the same thing. From a real estate point of view, you've got landlords and investors who have rented homes either directly or indirectly to homes of multiple occupancy, to shared accommodations. Shouldn't have. We all know this goes on, but monitoring it, tracking it and dealing with it, and to track these people down, to follow them, it's an issue for the government, for their healthcare service, for their security services, for the policing services. What will happen is we obviously have legal frameworks for this, but we need to make sure we're strictly enforcing it, and there needs to be an ability to take action on companies who are flouting this, or people who flaunt these activities as well. What it might end up doing is that the industry starts to clean itself up. There's leaner modes of work, there's better accommodation requirements. That no matter how much you plan for risk, you've never quite planned enough. I believe it's exposed poor working practices, poor ethics across companies and the people owning them. There was people having salaries cut, people being laid off, benefits cut within days of going into lockdown. That doesn't make good business sense. That's opportunism to try and make a quick buck on your cash flow to reduce costs under the guise of a pandemic. Sure, there would be companies that had to, and the people making actions within days and early into the weeks of lockdown, I mean, the business couldn't have been sustainable in the first place if they were living day to day in terms of cash flow, and they didn't manage to have a buffer in place. The construction and the real estate industry is a huge pillar for the UAE economy. It needs to show strong leadership, it needs to have strong people and strong companies with a mindset of being here for the long haul to help the country in good and in bad. There'll be tremendous talent pool, I reckon, available now due to redundancies, so perhaps there might be a new wave of SMEs and maybe different thinking at corporate levels of the bigger companies to stimulate the economy again. As I believe it will take maybe larger operations and companies time to adjust due to their size and current commitments. The only important thing really though, and which is a key takeaway, is that people are healthy and so are the families that they have, and if we can get through that, then I'm sure we can all adjust to the future. It's honesty, transparency and communicating to all the stakeholders, and also not to panic. I said a bit earlier, you find a lot about people and companies in the bad times rather than the good times, and the clients that maybe we've been with the companies for years. And try not to take on a trader's mindset and only look at what can be taken now and the consequences later. If you can afford to pay the supply chain, then continue to pay it. If you can't pay them, then sure, be honest, open your books, negotiate. But I would say it's not easy. It's not easy at the best of times being a leader of a company or a leader of people. But at this point, people are scared. They're worried about their family. They're worried about their finances. They're worried about the future. And the reality is that nobody really knows what that's going to happen. We're living in uncharted waters at the minute, and we can't control the majority of what's happening, but what we can do is we control our own thoughts and we control our own actions. So in these times, being honest, transparent and communicating to all your stakeholders is going to be what is remembered in the aftermath of the crisis. I'm a strong belief that clients, contractors, subcontractors, service providers in the industry are going to need to think differently. I think there has been a sort of a movement on working from home, remote working, collaborations, partnerships, mutually beneficial agreements between all the stakeholders. If it's not a win for everyone, including the end user, then it should be rethought out. The company should be reviewing how they used to operate and reassess what happened during the crisis so they can learn lessons that can be modified or adjusted in the future if something like this happens again, to try and limit the damage. I've seen and worked in situations that you've got levels of approvals, paperwork, bureaucracy to handle a normal operational decision, which takes teams of 5, 6, 7 people across 3, 4 different departments to achieve something that, to be honest, can be done from a mobile phone in 30 seconds. I think also staff and management need to understand that more people need to be cross-skilled across the business, so that when something like this happens, then instead of cutting them off, letting them go, then we can ultimately, right now, what we need to do is we need to take a step back, reassess priorities, partnerships, strategic goals before we move forward. Perhaps there's going to be opportunities to operate and deliver locally things that we've been relying on from other countries.